Thank you for joining Cleve, Loveland, and the Lone Ranger, where you get all of your real estate and mortgage news every weekend. For the past 25 years on this station, we've been delivering every Central Florida their real estate news. What's going on in real estate? Are we in a seller's market? How to get your house ready to sell? Where are the interest rates? How much is the money going to cost me? We've got the Lone Ranger to talk about that. Hopefully we've still got unbelievable rates, as he would say. But I want to talk about the market for a second. This seller's market we're in is, I want to say, on fire. It's just hot, Bruce.
I don't know what else you'd call it.
And it's not.
And we're not having a gas shortage. We're having a gas crunch, I understand.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Let's see how that affects the prices of houses. But so we've got inflation coming in. We've got a low supply of resale homes, which we had. The builders usually bridge that gap for us.
But they don't have enough. They can't build fast enough.
They bridged the gap in 07, 06, and 07. They bridged that gap and delivered thousands upon thousands of homes to speculative buyers, and that's part of what caused the bubble. Then 08 hit. But right now, the builders can't deliver. Their lumber prices, I was talking to a builder last night at our
if they can even get material.
They could. He said his materials jumped $40,000 on a big house he was building. It was like 5,000 square feet. So it's just they can't get that, and they're limited. Now, America will find a way. The supply chains will correct, and they'll deliver these things that will come along. But the other thing that's happening, and this is why, again, we're not in a bubble, Central Florida is moving up on the list of expensive states. We've got it all. We've got great governor. We got the best governor in the world. We got low taxes. We got great climate. And people are just kind of realizing that, okay, I don't need to stay in these overpriced coastal cities up north with their overburdensome tax rates and their state income tax and their exorbitant real estate prices.
Shut down all their businesses.
We were about the you and I checked this, we were about the 20th most expensive state. I bet you when numbers come out, now it takes a while to get these numbers, we're going to move up to number 15, 16, 17. We're going to move up a little bit.
Maybe. I think we'll definitely move up. But you know what, Cleve, the way I look at that is I say that is a buying opportunity. When you see that cycle and you know you're going to go up in value, then why don't you get in the market now? Why wouldn't you spend the time to get in the market right now before they continue to go up? And so you and I are faced with clients that call us all the time and say, Cleve, Bruce, should I wait and see what happens in the market, or should I get in right now?
Well, this is what you and I do, interpret the market for the person, because everybody's like, oh my gosh, my house. I just talked to a gentleman. He was going to sell by owner, and last time I had talked to him, his price was about $200,000. Now, this is several years ago. And he thought somebody giving him $260,000 was a great deal. He literally just threw the house out on Facebook Marketplace, and he got it. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. Let me come take a look. And I did the comps, and I did a market analysis, went back out to his property, and we were looking at $300,000. So, and probably multiple offers when it comes on the market. So, and everybody's different. But the main thing he was worried about, and rightfully so, I always talk to him about, before we start signing papers to sell the home, I said, where are you going? And that's the important part. What's your next step? And he wants to downsize. It's a big property.
You can get more for your house right now, but you're going to pay a little bit more for your next one.
Yeah, well, it's all relative. So
it's all relative.
And it's like, if it's an investment property, then we may need to talk also, because we know capital gains rates are going to go up, things like that. So talk to your financial advisor. But it's very personal what we do for people. And sometimes you say it's not a good time to refi. And it might be good. Not going to save you as much.
And it's not that it's not a good time necessarily, Cleve.
On a case by case.
It just sometimes it doesn't make sense. I had a client call me yesterday, and I'm running. Matter of fact, it was a client, an ex-client of yours that you put into a house 16 years ago in a $2 million house, and he says, I'm at 4%. Is it worth it for me to refi? So I'm looking at numbers, and I don't know if it's worth it for him to refi on a 30 to 30 year, but it's definitely worth him to refi if he wants to have that higher payment on a 15-year. Now, the 15-year payments and the 15-year interest rates are unbelievable. I mean, listen, 30-year interest rates are unbelievable, but 15-year are ridiculously low. So if you can swing the higher payment, it's worth it. But I think what you're saying is everyone is based on their own individual needs, desires, and ability.
And part of what's fueling this market is a lot of people that might have bought 3, 4, 5 years ago, their rates were probably in the 4s, and they might not have refied yet, and their house jumped in value. Maybe it jumped up in value. It's 3 years ahead of where we might have been. And this is just I don't know if it's a natural correction, like looking at real estate in a 30-year cycle, the bubble might have taken us down too low. With all
I went back and I looked, when did rates start to drop down? And this was pretty impressive. So I went back and looked at some history. The last time that we were in the fours was in 2012.
Whoa.
2012.
You mean
it dropped from 4. I looked at the average Freddie Mac rate, and it was at the end of 2012 going into 2013 when we dropped from the 4s into the high 3s.
And that's part of what's made all these homes affordable for people. And people are bringing, and there's a limit. You know, I had people in 05 and 06 paying 50, 60, 70 grand over list price on a $250,000 home. Right now, I'll get 12 offers on that house, but I have people go 10, 5,000, 15,000 over. I'll pay you 10 over appraisal. I'll pay you a 10 if it doesn't appraise.
So, you know, it's interesting you say that, Cleve, because I think that some of our listeners may feel like that's really their concern about getting in the market. So what they go back and they compare it to, oh my gosh, are we going into the same bad behavior that we were in 2006 when people paid over appraised value? But you and I have looked at this very carefully, and we don't believe that that's at all the case, because the reason that housing was inflated was because it was too easy to get into loans back then. I mean, we were doing 100% investor financing with no documentation.
I think I had 2 of those.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something. The loans were ridiculous, and it was that got us into trouble. If it wasn't for the bad mortgages, we would have not gone into a recession. It was my industry, and 100% responsible. Now, that doesn't mean that wasn't Wall Street. They helped create that problem. And it doesn't mean that there weren't greedy customers that wanted to say, hey, I work at McDonald's, but I really make $90,000 a year and I'm flipping burgers. Yeah. And that's what was happening back then. But that doesn't happen now. And that's why I don't think we're going to go into a bubble.
With the pandemic, those restrictions got tighter. I mean, they triple check to make sure you're not.
Well, at least for self-employed people, the rules got a little bit tighter for self-employed and documentation for self-employed or commission-based people. But here's the way I look at underwriting in today's world, Cleve. I think that the underwriting guidelines right now is about as fair as they possibly can be for the consumer and for the lender. They've got to work for both, because lenders want to do loans. They don't want to turn loans down. They're in the business of doing mortgages. I'm in the business of doing mortgages. I'm in the business. If I don't approve your loan, I'm not going to get paid. So I don't want to ever deny somebody. But on the other hand, if you're not showing the income, if you don't have the credit, if you don't have the cash to close, you're not going to get a loan right now. You've got to have those 3 aspects. And we will help you with that if you don't. So, by the way, if you have any questions, you call Bruce Woodburn, CrossCountry Mortgage, the loan arranger, at 407-250-9144. Write that phone number down, 407-250-9144, or apply online at webringyouhome.com. And I do want to talk about, when we come back a little bit later, we still got time, Cleve, but I want to talk about our wealth building seminar that we're doing on June 23rd and a construction perm class that I'm doing on May 18th. If you want to build your own home, because here's the thing right now. When you have a listing, Cleve, how many offers in general are you getting on that house, and in what period of time from the day it hits MLS?
I'm doing what I call my market maker. I've kind of controlled this process, because you put a house on the market first day, you're limited by how many realtors can get through there. And you've got buyers that are working, you've got buyers that are across town looking at another house. And so what I do is I put them out for about 5 days over a weekend. And I say all bids in by Monday at 12 noon.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get, let's say we're talking a Central Florida house around, even up at 700,000-800,000. I'm averaging about 4 to 8 offers. Depends on really kind of how you hit the market and what price.
All right. I want to dissect that so that our listeners understand. So rather than you just saying, hey, it's day 1, I got 5 offers in, you're going to hold off and let them kind of marinate so that you can...
I get more people through and I get more offers. Yeah.
And you're getting more. Then on Monday, you're going to evaluate those, and then you're going to call them and go, okay, I got 5 offers on my table.
Yep.
I want highest and best use. the house is only going to appraise for, let's just say 600,
Yep.
and I've got offers already in at 650.
Yep.
We are waiving the appraisal on anybody moving forward over this price. Is that?
Yeah, because there's 3 or 4 main factors. Are they fast tracked? Is their loan done? Is it a local lender? Is it cash? Are they willing to go over? Like if it doesn't appraise, are they willing to make the adjustment?
And pay the difference.
And I had one smart buyer on one property. He said, "I don't care if I'll offer you this." He went above list price. And he goes, "And if it appraises for that, I'll pay you $10,000 above whatever it appraises for. And if it doesn't appraise, I'll still pay you my list price." So
here that might freak some of our people out that are listening out there, because they hear that and it sounds like that. It just doesn't sit well.
Well,
right?
This is what we tell our buyers. And let's say you're a buyer and you're looking to $400,000. Well, I really need to find you something around $350 to $400, and at that $350, $360 level, you should go in at $380.
Or you have to be prepared.
Now, you got to check
over.
the comps. I just had one. Now, bless their little hearts, our appraisers out there. I just had one. We don't want to call them a deal killer, but they hold our feet down. And I had one, and the listing agent, said they had multiple offers, but we got it. And we paid a little bit above list price, but the appraisal came in like 10% short. And I said, well, provide the comps. You
on
used
a
to price it.
$400,000 house.
And once I went through the smoke, I said, "Hey, we're only going to do it for appraised value. We don't feel comfortable." I said, "Maybe you ought to call your other offers." And she's like, "Well, those weren't as high as yours."
Oh.
And so they were still low. So the buyers know. And you've got so much information, Bruce. When somebody's out there wandering around, they can pull out their phone. They pull up Realtor.com. You can see what everybody else sold for. They know the one they should have bought and they weren't quite ready. It was just great, and this one's cost the same, and it's almost as great. They know the guy asking way too much. I just went into a neighborhood the other day, and the homes in there are $500,000 all day long, and everybody's happy to be selling at $500 because they bought for $350 5, 6, 7 years ago. And there's one guy on the street, and I think the name of the company is Bless Your Heart Real Estate, Bless Your Little Heart Real Estate. It's listed for $799, and it's smaller than these ones selling for $500.
Well, you never know, man. They might get an offer on it. Cleve, how would somebody reach you if they wanted to?
407-352-8118 for Cleve, Loveland Properties. Or I got my website. I got my name back from the Russians, cleveloveland.com. Finally got it after 25
You didn't get the
years.
Russian hack on that one?
Well, they've had it. They've been holding it ransom, and I finally just they must have thought I was dead or something.
I don't know if there's a Russian named cleveloveland.com.
They were just holding the site ransom. They knew I needed it, so they wanted like $10,000 for 20 years ago. So
how many Bitcoin did you have to send them?
Exactly. So.
All right. If you have any questions for the Loan Arranger, you can always call me at 407-250-9144. That's 407-250-9144. Or you can apply online on my very simple and easy website. Just go to WeBringYouHome.com. That's WeBringYouHome.com. And you can easily apply online on my website. Super easy to use. And we will listen. Here's something before we go on for our next break. I wanted to just finish talking about a couple of seminars that you and I are doing. Okay, so wealth building, June 23rd. So if you are interested in understanding how you can amass wealth in real estate with no gimmicks, this is not buy into our program. How much do we charge for this right now?
$0.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. So we're going to give you all our tricks that we've used to be able to build wealth in real estate. We're going to walk you through the process. You don't have to put a lot of money down to buy property, but I'll show you how to own 5 properties in the next 20 years. I know that sounds like a long time, but if you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, by the time you retire, I'm going to show you how to have $2.1 million plus in the bank in equity and real estate and paying you $15,000 to $20,000 a month in rental income. If you want that, and you don't think that your pension's going to pay you $15,000 to $20,000 a month, then you must get into this program. If you are a real estate agent, then get your clients into this program. Okay? You've got to listen to how we did it. It's simple. 407-250-9144 or WeBringYouHome.com. Go to WeBringYouHome.com, my events page, and register online right there for the class. That would be May 18th. Excuse me. That is June 23rd at 6 p.m. Register in advance. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with more of Cleve Loveland and the Loan Arranger Radio Show.